Alright, before I begin, whoever suggested School Days as the anime to watch in the Discord, despite me saying no nudity with things I review, I hope Boku no Pico plays in endless loops in your dreams. Okay, hear me out here. I'm about to give the craziest comparison, but just stay with me. This anime, right, Wonder Momo, is the equivalent of a girl finally getting to smash her longtime crush only to realize that he's an awkward one-pump chump. And by that I mean objectively bad, doesn't last long enough, and some small part of you wishes that there was more. But thank God Namco pulled the plug on this. Yes, you heard that right. The same people who made Pac-Man and apparently Soul Calibur 3, are the same people who are responsible for this work of art. Oh, and don't worry, Namco will definitely let you know that they had a hand in this masterpiece. For example, right, the school the main character goes to is called Namco High, and there are 2 ads for Namco placed at the beginning of episode 2. I'd even go as far as saying that just like how Andy writes his name on the bottom of Woody's foot, every character got Namco on the soles of their feet. Okay, now that I've shit on product placement, let's get into the review. Now, just like my last review, I will have 5 sections, but there's gonna be some changes since I watched this subbed. The 5 things that I'll be talking about is art style and animation, plot and story, characters, rating the fight scenes, and overall enjoyment. Kaishi. Kono anime o hakai suru no jutsu. Now, let's start with the art style. As I said in my last review, I am not qualified to talk about art. All I got is a loose understanding of color theory and shading. But I think it's fair to say that either the artists for the show despise the main character, or they just shouldn't be trusted to ever draw human characters again. To start, let's analyze the main character's face. On first glance, you may think that that pink shit on her eyes is just makeup, but after noticing that it's on other characters' eyes, I think it's supposed to be this part of your eye. Regardless, no artist should ever attempt to replicate this. Now, when we look at her face as a whole, in my opinion, she just looks like she's about to turn into a frog or a toad. I can't be the only one that sees this. She gotta be on some Animorphs type shit. And with some girl characters, some of them don't even look like girls from a distance. Like, this is either just a bunch of butch lesbians or a bunch of dudes who decided to wear stuffed bras. And considering the fact that this takes place in Japan, I'm assuming it's not the latter. But other than those things, the show honestly just looks on par with a lot of the shows that were coming out at the time. That is, until we get into the animation department. The inconsistency is insane. You have parts where she's transforming and it looks really nice, right? And then there's parts like this, where she moves one nigga with barely any force, thus causing the people behind the dude to be shifted as well, but as if they are a massive PNG being moved. It's like they started animating that part and then just gave up halfway through. But I'd argue that the most egregious thing that they do in the animation department is reuse scenes. And I'm not just talking about whenever she transforms into Wonder Momo. No, I'd be insane to think that they would do some new shit for that. Also, I wanted to add, I think that the majority of the budget went into the transformation given how smooth it looks compared to every other part of the show. Anyway, yeah, but I'm talking about the fighting scenes. Them niggas made this scene where she's dodging punches and shit and thought that shit was so fire that they had to use it in 2 more episodes after. They must have been trying to usurp the throne of apathy from either Garfield or Snorlax with the way that they was out here reusing scenes. For a series that's only 5 episodes long and 7 minutes for each episode. So really, if you do the math, that's around 35 minutes, minus the 10 for the 2-minute intro and outro. And you got the runtime for the last episode of season 2 of the Owl House. Quick maths. There is not enough time in this show for y'all to stop giving a fuck. So I do want to talk more shit in this section, but at this point, I wouldn't blame PETA if they just came through and sniped me for beating a dead horse. So I'm gonna just stop. But I do want to say, whoever was in the studio and drew this specific shot right here, you knew what the fuck you were doing. You knew what was gonna happen next year, October 9th, 2015. Now let's talk about the plot. Okay, jokes aside, the only semblance of a plot is when they decide to go and destroy the aliens in their ship once and for all. But I feel like this doesn't really even count because the show just ends before they even whip any ass inside the ship. Like, how dare they blue ball me? And I don't mean that because the fact that I wanted to know how this ended, I just more so mean because I wanted to see more reused scenes. But the general story is that the main character Momoko gets superpowers from this alien that looks like he's about to Jeffrey Epstein her in a subway stairwell. Then she goes back to school and does the obligatory fight. Then in episode 2, some dude comes up to her and says that he caught her in 4K transforming to fight those monsters as Wonder Momo, even though everybody in the gym had the capacity to see it happen. Then she does the obligatory fight, but this time with a rival hero. Episode 3, she has a mental breakdown and then has the obligatory fight with a squid monster that had me questioning whether or not this was going to turn into a hentai, until her mom, the original Wonder Momo, comes and saves her. Episode 4 has a shit ton of exposition explaining how and why she became Wonder Momo, followed by an obligatory fight. Episode 5, they just plan to go and destroy the ship of the aliens, and then the obligatory fight happens. So as you can clearly see, this show tries its hardest to have you guessing what's gonna happen next. But I have this theory that everything that happened after the stairwell scene just didn't happen, and that she's living in a mental asylum and we are watching her brains attempt to rationalize what happened to her in that stairwell. Yes, add this creepypasta to the bottom of the Wonder Momo iceberg. But assuming that this shit actually did happen, let's analyze it critically. So up until the point before she transforms, she has no information to clue her in to the fact that she has superpowers. Then I guess someone who was writing the script thought it would be funny to make her say, and look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, that shit was funny as hell. She out here speaking these lines and throwing up superhero gang signs like she's done it before. Hey, the writing may be ass, but I never said it wasn't funny. The randomly turn into a superhero ex machina shit go crazy. After she obliterates a gigantic monster with a fucking hula hoop, the fighting sequence ends and she transforms back into her regular self. However, despite there being multiple people in this gym as stated before, no one saw her change back. She's right fucking there, bozo. We need to get her better prescription of glasses. Also, since it just kind of seems like I'm attacking things story-wise that just made me laugh but make no sense. In the third episode, her mom comes in and saves her, and she throws a hoop at the monster but calls it Original Wonder Hoop. Is that what you were calling it before? What was the point of adding that? That's like if Minato said Original Rasengan every single time that he used it instead of just Rasengan. Like, come on, you can't be that vain. You know what? Fuck it, I'm on a roll. Why is it that 2/7 of each episode consists of intro and outro? Y'all never thought y'all could have cut at least like 30 seconds out of both them bitches? Then maybe I could have been blessed with an actual ending? That I don't really mind that I didn't even get. Anyway, let's get into these barely fleshed out characters, shall we? First, we got Momoko, the main character, the ditzy klutz that everybody knows in their high school. All she really cares about is becoming an idol, which I think is like what BTS is minus the music. I'm not really sure. I don't throat K-pop dick more than I breathe during the day. Let me finish this shit up before the K-pop niggas find my IP address. But her desire to be an idol honestly just comes from her being an attention whore. She literally just says in episode 3, I want to be the center of attention. But I'm fine with this. I like the fact that there's more to this character than just being a ditz who fucking has superpowers. You know why? Because no other character in this show possesses more than 1 inch of depth. But realistically, I can't even be mad about that because the show is only 25 minutes. But for the rest of the characters, we got curious simp photographer, the girl I dubbed Charlie Brown, the hero mom that doesn't want her child to do the thing that she did cliche, the snobby ass rival, and 2 aliens. Again, I'm not even mad. I'm just getting more sad the more that I talk about this. Like, they could have made a whole 6 out of 10 show if they just put more money and time into this. Now let's talk about the part of an action anime that everyone expects to be good. The fighting scenes. Where do I begin? Actually, I don't even think I have words. I'm gonna just play y'all a bunch of shit real quick. Yes, non-moving PNG, this does suck. After watching that, I don't think anybody would be mad if I said that I would pay money for them to remove my name from the credits, no matter how much work I put in. Sure, I can understand what's going on in the fight scenes, you know, they're doing the bare minimum there, but there's so many moments where they have characters as non-moving PNGs that it feels wrong to even call them fight scenes. I feel like calling them high quality PowerPoints is a much more fitting name. And then along with the fact that they kept reusing scenes, yeah, no, these fight scenes are dog shit. Like, it really dawned on me how much of a joke this show was when instead of showing her fighting people, they instead showed somebody who was in the back of the line eating ramen noodles waiting to get his ass beat. I then apologized to my screen for even attempting to take this shit seriously. But now for my overall enjoyment rating. This was an enjoyable experience. Not in the I gained something from this or it positively impacted my life in some sort of way. More in the I didn't feel compelled to turn off the screen because it was boring. Don't get me wrong.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
But it's a big steaming pile of dog shit with potential. So if the people who made Space Dandy could just, come through and remake this into a 6.5 out of 10, that would be nice. But since we can't have nice things, this version gets a 4 out of 10 on the enjoyment scale and a 2, yes, a 2 overall. Also, if somebody has that secret episode 6, the true finale hiding somewhere, please let me know. I would pay a lot of money to see that. Also, this nigga Luna beat me in multiverses, so I gotta say that I am ass at the game. All right, bye.